Hey folks, it's Matt once again. First off, I want to apologize for the lack of videos. I've been sort of taking it easy, taking a break from doing reviews, felt kind of burned out. There was a guy who wanted me to check out The Conjuring 2. He actually paid me via PayPal. I know I mentioned that before, but in case the person didn't see that video, he's seen this video, I'm still going to do that sometime soon. I promise you that. By hook or by crook, I will get a review for that for you. It's the least I can do. But other than that, just been relaxing, enjoying. I know recently we've had horrible stuff happen, like I believe in Orlando, a lot of mass shootings. This just sucks. I know that sounds lame and stupid, but hopefully, at least with this video, I can at least bring some entertainment to someone. Least I can do. So what I wanted to do is just pull up a random year, this one being 2004, and just talk about movies that came out that year. I like doing that. Sort of, not really a list, but just going through. That way I'm talking about multiple movies in one video. For example, 2004, the first movie that popped up, and I grabbed a couple that I have in my collection. And yeah, I decided to film this in my DVD room since I have the AC on. It'll feel nice. Cellular, 2004 film that I might have seen in the theater. I can't remember, but definitely one of my favorite films that come out in 2004. Cellular, you have a great cast. You have Chris Evans before he was Captain America. You have Kim Basinger. You have Jason Statham as the bad guy. And you have William H. Macy as a good cop sort of caught in the middle of this. And what that is Kim Basinger gets abducted, held captive by Jason Statham, leading these bad guys. And she finds his broken phone and is able to dial a random number. And the random cell number that comes up is Chris Evans' character. He picks it up. Kim Basinger says she's held captive. She doesn't know what to do. Oh, don't hang up the phone, otherwise I can't get to you again. I don't know where I'm at. I don't know what's going on. He's going to go after my kid. Please help. And Chris Evans can't put the phone down, otherwise he'll lose connection to this woman. So it's about a guy, a normal guy, helping this woman who he doesn't know, this total stranger, helping her out, trying to save her kid, dealing with bad guys like Jason Statham. And very well done. Love this movie. Think it's very underrated, thrilling. Love the idea. And actually, not the screenplay, but the story was made up by Larry Cohen. Larry Cohen came up with the story of this. It was written by Chris Morgan, which I know that name sounds familiar. It's directed by David R. Ellis. Now, unfortunately, David R. Ellis, the director, is no longer with us. He's the guy who did Snakes on a Plane. He did Final Destination 2. He did Shark Night, which I didn't care for. But still, Final Destination 2 I really enjoy. Saw that in the theater. Snakes on a Plane, really enjoy that. I did see that in the theater. I would say this is probably my favorite of the stuff he directed. And I think I did see this in the theater as well. I would not suggest looking up the trailer, because the trailer is a pretty poorly put together trailer. They give a lot of the movie away, and that's probably why this film didn't do better at the box office, just the trailer sucks. Again, it's poorly put together, gives a lot of the movie away. I would say, if you can find this, whether on Netflix or find it for cheap on DVD, it's well worth a look. I enjoyed this film back when it came out in 2004, and again, that was way before Chris Evans became Captain America. But he does a really great job as the lead. The rest of the cast, Jason Statham, nice to see him in the villain role. William H. Macy does fine. Kim Basinger, I think she's a really good actress. Fast-paced. Not that long of a film, only 90-some minutes. Yeah, only an hour and 30, about an hour and 35 minutes, give or take. And just a very well-done thriller with some action elements, and love the idea. Great movie. Very underrated. Another film that came out in 2004 is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which I did see this in the theater when it came out. And one of Jim Carrey's best performances. This also has Kate Winslet, Kirsten Dunst, Mark Ruffalo, Elijah Wood, and Tom Wilkinson. Directed by Michael Gondry. Once again, wonderful, cool idea. Sort of a sci-fi romance movie, a little bit of thriller, kinda. Because Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet are having a shitty relationship. Jim Carrey finds out that his girlfriend, Kate Winslet, has gone to this inventor and gotten her memories wiped of her relationship with him. He finds this out, and of course he's shocked and he's upset, and that the relationship has been erased from her head by her choosing. So he's like, I'm going to do the same thing. So he goes to this group, which is Tom Wilkinson, Kirsten Dunst, Mark Ruffalo, and Elijah Wood. And they sit Jim Carrey in a chair and wipe his memory of his relationship. And as that's happening, there's stuff going on with those four, little back and forth. But mainly it's Jim Carrey and his memories reliving his relationship via memories with Kate Winslet, and kind of falls in love with her again. And it's like, no, I want to change this. I don't stop the procedure. It's too late because he's in the chair. He can't do or say anything. But in his mind, he's like, stop it, stop it. I want this relationship. I don't want this erased. And like he's getting the relationship memory, not the relationship, the memory version of Kate Winslet, trying to drag her along with them to try to keep her there so that she doesn't get erased, and the landscape's getting erased, and weird going through, because you're dealing with memory, it could just do really whatever it wants. Very imaginative. Just a really good idea for a love story. Cast do a fine job, and Jim Carrey, easily one of his best performances. This and The Truman Show are his best acting work. Very well done movie. Another film that had come out in 2004, which this was supposed to be a big blockbuster. It was going to get sequels. They came out with a comic book. They came out with a video game. There's like an animated, I think, prequel or sequel. I think it was an animated prequel movie. And again, they thought it'd be a franchise. There's even talks of maybe some kind of TV show. They had a lot of hope for this. And that's Van Helsing. Directed by Stephen Sommers after he did The Mummy and The Mummy Returns. I still think his best work is Deep Rising. I think that's his best film. Hugh Jackman trying to get the success from the X-Men films onto something else, which he never really did. I mean, he did The Prestige, which I haven't seen that film in forever. I don't think I have that movie. I know it's a Christopher Nolan film, but I barely remember that film. Real Steel sucked. Pan, I don't care about. Prisoners, I didn't see. I've heard good things, but it just, the running time and I've seen the trailer, doesn't appeal to me at all. This one, I can watch as a time waster. My feelings on the film have gradually been like, it's a piece of shit too. I can watch as a time waster. Sadly enough, I can watch this over the Wolverine films that he did, because at least Hugh Jackman does stuff in these movies. I think Hugh Jackman's not the problem in the film. I like his character. I like Van Helsing being an action hero and all the little gadgets that he has. He fights Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde at the beginning of the film. He fights vampires, and including these female winged vampires. Face off against Dracula. There's werewolves. There's the Frankenstein monster. Kate Beckinsale, after Underworld, she got this role, which is not really her character in Underworld, but kinda, but with an accent. And it's fun in a brainless way. But my two big problems with the film, number one, way too much CGI. There's way too much CGI in this film to the point of CGI porn. And that takes away. I think, especially the werewolves, really bad CGI. I like the idea that when they change, the humans rip the skin off, and then the wolf is underneath. I like that idea. But if you want to see the idea that, and it looks better, watch the anthology film Trick or Treat, which came out 2009. I think it was 2009. Trick or Treat. There's an anthology film that has people rip their skin and there's a werewolf underneath. And also, Late Phases, I think, did that as well. I think Late Phases. And that was done like practical. Looks much better. So I like the idea, but Trick or Treat and Late Phases did that better with more practical work. It needed more practical special effects. It didn't need to be a CGI porn fest. And the guy who played Dracula was a poor choice. He was very... He seemed like he had a dildo up his ass the whole movie, and the prim proper, just wrong choice of an actor, wrong choice of a performance for this kind of flick. It really was. And even the guy who played the Frankenstein monster, he seemed like a shitty version of Peter Boyle from Young Frankenstein. He almost looked like Peter Boyle from Young Frankenstein, only he did a kind of a shit job at. And he was sort of the, Frankenstein monster is actually a good guy. Which I'm like, you go watch the Monster Squad for that. I mean, this doesn't hold a candle to the Monster Squad. So, more practical effects, different actors for a Frankenstein monster, especially Dracula. But as a time waster, I didn't watch it for action, some well done action sequences. Hugh Jackman playing a character who I like. Reminds me a little bit of Blade, which Blade 1 and 2 are much better than this. But I would rather watch this than Blade Trinity. And sadly, again, I would rather watch this than the two Wolverine films. Because I don't know, it just... I didn't watch it as a harmless time waster. But yeah, they tried to... They thought they were going to have a big blockbuster. Like I said, they had a video game, comic book, animated movie prequel. I love my friend Michael Keane, if he ever sees this. I like to see you do a review for this film. Give your thoughts on this. Because he's really into the Universal monster movies. I'd like to get his opinion on this. I think he did one time a long time ago, but I don't remember what it was. So, not a great movie at all, but as a harmless time waster, I can watch it, but again, ease up on the CGI. And that's been Steven Sommers' problem. Even, yeah, Deep Rising has CGI, but it was like fun, and there's some good R-rated fun goodness to it as well. Like, Deep Rising's more my kind of movie, but harmless time waster. But if people hate it, like, I'll defend... This gets a lot of good reviews, doesn't need defending. I would defend a film like this. Like, I would put my dukes up and defend. Van Helsing's not a film that... It's not a film I would defend. If people hate this, like Cellular, I'd be like, I don't understand why you hate Cellular. This, I can understand. Even I used to hate it. But I'm like, it's there. It didn't sound better than most of Hugh Jackman's movies. Which I know isn't saying much, but it's my honest opinion. Sadly enough, Van Helsing is one of his best movies, in my opinion. So that really shows what kind of career he has. But other films that came out in 2004, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. That was the third Harry Potter film. Actually directed by Alfonso Cuarón, who's the guy who he'd go do Children of Men and Gravity. And I believe that was one of the best reviewed Harry Potter films, but it's actually one of the least grossing. So it's like it got the best reviews, but the less amount of money. I couldn't tell you much more other than that because I'm not into Harry Potter. I watched the first one and I kind of gave up after that. I'm like, I'm just not interested. I'm not interested in these characters. I'm not interested in this world. It just doesn't intrigue me, and I just don't want to waste my time. So I didn't see that film. The Notebook, which really enough, I gotta get another film. It has a certain connection with another film, which when I pull this out, you'll be like, what the hell are you talking about? Really enough, it has a connection to this film. This is because The Notebook was directed by this guy, Nick Cassavetes. Yes, the guy who played the villain Packard in The Wraith directed a romantic drama starring Ryan Gosling, Rachel McAdams, Gina Rowlands, and James Garner. Yeah. A Ryan Gosling, Rachel McAdams romantic drama. It was directed by the bad guy from The Wraith, Nick Cassavetes. I find that kind of funny. But The Notebook, didn't see, couldn't tell you much about it. I know that Ryan Gosling and the girl, when they were making the film, they didn't like each other. I remember hearing that story. But The Notebook, just not my kind of movie. So, can't tell you much about it. Troy. I've never actually seen Troy. That's the film with Brad Pitt, Eric Bana, and Orlando Bloom that Wolfgang Peterson directed, where it follows the assault on Troy by the United Greek... It doesn't have the whole thing there. United Greek forces and chronicles the fates of the men involved. I know that was a big epic film, over 2 hours long, probably 2.5 hours long. I wouldn't be surprised if it was almost 3 hours long. It seems like that kind of movie. Never seen it. Historical or that kind of epics are not really the films that interest me the most. So I couldn't tell you much about it. Maybe if I look up the trivia. But I know another film is Mean Girls with Lindsay Lohan. This is when Lindsay Lohan, people actually liked her. There was a time when people liked Lindsay Lohan. She wasn't a joke. But not now. But yeah, Troy. Brad Pitt and Eric Bana did not use stunt doubles for their epic duel. They made a gentleman's agreement to pay for every accidental hit. $50 for each light blow and $100 for each hard blow. Pitt ended up paying Bana $750, and Bana did not owe Pitt anything. Huh. So Eric Bana didn't hit Brad Pitt, but Brad Pitt hit Eric Bana quite a few, $750 worth. Brad Pitt claimed the filming was torturous for him because he had to quit smoking. Well, that probably helps you in the long run. Director Wolfgang Peterson left the proposed Batman vs. Superman project to direct this. So yeah, he was going to do Batman vs. Superman at the time. Brad Pitt left The Fountain and was replaced by Hugh Jackman. That's another Hugh Jackman film I forgot about. For a reason. I don't remember a damn thing about that movie. James Horner composed the score for the movie in less than 6 weeks. Gabriel Yarod spent over a year on his version. Not much I didn't say about that film. Christopher Nolan was offered the opportunity to direct the film. Christopher Nolan's Troy. Let me see what trivia there is for Van Helsing. I'm curious. During filming, Hugh Jackman accidentally broke an Estra's hand. Yeah, it was intended to kick off a series of Van Helsing adventure movies. However, reviews were bad and the box office returns were far below expectations, so all plans for a sequel were dropped within days of the film's opening. The DVD sales was $65 million in the first week in North America, more than half the revenue from theater runs. So it made a shitload on DVD. Michael Bay was at one point considered to direct the film, but opted to direct The Island instead, which came out 2005. The Island is a better movie, I will admit. I like The Island. Wow. And now I'm curious, like, how much did Van Helsing actually make? I know I'm going a little bit off there, but still, I'm just curious, how much did this movie make? Because I remember, yeah. It cost $160 million. Which is a lot of money, especially even back in... Nowadays, that's a lot of money. Yeah, it cost $160 million and it made $120 million in the U.S. It made $180 million foreign for a worldwide total of $300 million. So it made a worldwide total of $300 million on a $160 million budget. And its opening weekend was $51 million. $51 million is pretty good for an opening weekend, but I guess they thought it would be like $100 million. But yeah, people were not having it. But yeah, like I was saying, they got a board game. There's a fucking board game of Van Helsing. A fucking board game. By Mayfair Games in 2010? In 2010, Mayfair Games released a board game of this. 6 years later for a film that flopped. Yeah, there's a Van Helsing video game for PS2, Xbox, PC, and Game Boy Advance. There's a fucking slot machine game by International Game Technology. A slot machine. Slot game. And yet spin-offs. The animated prequel, Van Helsing The London Assignment, takes place before the main events of the film and focuses on Van Helsing's mission to try to stop Jack the Ripper, who turns out to actually be Mr. Hyde, from terrorizing London. And then there's a one-shot comic book by Dark Horse Comics titled Van Helsing from Beneath the Rue Morgue, which takes place after the death of Jekyll Hyde in Paris, the beginning of the film, and before his return to Rome. In it, he deals with Dr. Moreau and his hybrid mutants. And apparently in 2012, they wanted to reboot the film with Tom Cruise starring. That didn't work out. But now Tom Cruise is in a reboot of The Mummy. So, unbelievable, huh? The next one, 2004, is The Incredibles, which I know I have here on DVD. Someone sent it to me. I can't remember where I put it, though. I know I have it here on DVD. Someone sent it to me. The Incredibles I could never get into. It was never my kind of movie, which I know a lot of people love that film to death. I never really got why. I like Trey T. Nelson, but I'll just watch Poltergeist 1 and 2. I don't know, I watch it and I go, what's the big deal? I mean, Samuel Jackson does a voice in it. And like, Sam Jackson's like in everything. Jason Lee as the villain. I don't know. There's the moment where he's doing all this stuff to try to put on his costume, which I swear was on The Simpsons. I swear someone stole that from The Simpsons. And Brad Bird, the director, actually worked for The Simpsons for a point. I'm like, I remember that from The Simpsons. Did he just copy that? I just, The Incredibles, I found really nothing that funny about it. I'm like, I don't understand what the big deal with the movie is. I've seen it more than once. Did you give it another shot? Like, what am I missing? And I'm like, it's a movie. It's not bad. It's just, I'm like, whatever. It just didn't do it for me. The Incredibles, I don't get what's so incredible about it. I really don't. That's just me, though. Let's see, the next film is actually, do I have, I know I do, where did I put it, though? I don't remember where I put that. It was here. And the other one's over here, actually. Let me get that. The next film is White Chicks, which, again, this is one I found really cheap. Mainly I was curious about because of the audio commentary by the Wayans brothers, which I honestly don't remember much about it. But, I was curious about it. It was very cheap. It was only a couple bucks. Process and humor of creating a comedy, how they came up with the idea, a look behind the scenes at the makeup special effects used in the film, Dan audio commentary. Keenan Ivory Wayans directed it. Marlon and Shawn Wayans star in it. What's funny is if you did this in reverse, it would be banned. Think about that. I mean, that is one thing I gotta mention that I find funny. Imagine if you had two white guys and they had to go in with effects to pretend to be black girls. Can you imagine the shitstorm that would be? The shitstorm that would happen? Just picture that. Two white guys pretending to be two black girls. But if it's two black guys pretending to be two white girls, it's pretty much fine. I just find that kind of funny, sort of that it's fine with one but not the other. I mean, well, I guess the closest to that is Soul Man, but fuck Soul Man. But even after saying that, this film, it's alright. It was an alright film. Weird idea, definitely. I thought Marlon Wayans, Shawn Wayans, I liked them as actors. They did that one fucking movie, Little Man, after this, which I'm like, now you're really pushing your luck. Definitely, it's an alright film. It's alright movie. I can't really think of any laugh out loud moments that pop in my head. It's probably why it's a 5.4 on IMDb. I would call this an average film. I mean, it's not like it. I mentioned all that stuff before just because I found that funny, but it doesn't offend me or anything. It is what it is. It's just sort of an average flick, average movie. Terry Crews, now that I think about it, he was pretty funny in it, though. Terry Crews kind of stole the show on that. But I remember it being a decent-sized hit, which I was surprised that they never did a sequel to. Because I think it did pretty good business. Yeah, it made $69 million. And I doubt this movie cost that much, so I am surprised they never did a sequel. There's probably talks of one, but we got fucking Ride Along too. So I'm surprised that we didn't get a White Chicks too. Not that I needed one, but I'm just saying. So you have The Aviator with Leonardo DiCaprio, Martin Scorsese film about Howard Hughes. Never saw it. Yeah, I can't really say much about it. Never saw the film. It just seemed like a story that I wasn't really interested in. Now, a film that did come out 2004, this is also one of my favorites of the year. I did see this in the theater. The Punisher. Punisher. I really like this film. I think it's pretty damn underrated. I think Thomas Jane does a great job as the Punisher. John Travolta does fine as the villain. It's definitely more of a low key action movie compared to other comic book films, so to speak. But I remember when I first saw it, I was kind of disappointed there wasn't more action. But I kind of appreciate that the director was going for a little bit of a Western feel, it seemed like. And I would love to have seen the director and Thomas Jane come back for a sequel. I would love to see what they would have done with a sequel, not fucking Punisher Warzone. Yeah, I'd like to see what they would have done with a sequel. Um, I actually have that film because I found it for cheap. For dirt cheap. And got it for the collection. Because I have Punisher with Dolph Lundgren, which I love. I have Punisher with Thomas Jane. This is like a couple bucks, so. Plus, I was curious about the feature. See, there's an explanation. See, the Punisher Warzone definitely has a lot more action and gore, but sometimes some really cartoonish looking gore, and I don't like this guy as the Punisher. Yeah, he has the look. You play that song. He's got the look, she's got the look. But I don't think he has any acting ability. Thomas Jane, I liked his presence. I liked his acting. I like him. You know, I like the, what's that? That, oh, fuck, I forgot what it was called. Dirty Laundry. The little short film he did. That was the Punisher. I wish he would, man. Marvel really messed up the chance of getting Thomas Jane as the Punisher. They really should have for that Netflix show. If Thomas Jane was the Punisher, I would watch that. But they got a new guy. And I'm like, why are you getting a new guy? This guy's good as the Punisher. Why don't you just get him? He did Dirty Laundry. I think he loves the character. But no. And did you kind of think of it as a sequel to this? I mean, it's even got fucking Marvel right there. Yeah, it's Lionsgate. So what? Lionsgate don't give a shit about this movie. But yeah, there's some little weird stuff. For example, the scene where he's taking the fire hydrant and fucking around with the fire hydrant. Yeah. But the action is hard hitting and definitely more realistic than Warzone. That's what I appreciate about this. Thomas Jane did a bang-up job. The score fits the film very well. That's why I would say it has kind of that Western feel to it. I really like the fight he has with Kevin Nash, which actually Thomas Jane accidentally stabbed Kevin Nash during that fight scene. Pretty brutal fight scene. Great finale. Taking people left and right with that machine gun. The knife that goes up and right under the guy's chin. And you see the knife in the guy's mouth. Does a little quick draw on John Travolta. Fighting the guy who has played the guitar. I like the little song he plays too in the little diner. The little back and forth. I think the soundtrack's pretty good. Step Up by Drowning Pool. There's a song called Broken. A couple good songs on the soundtrack. I always thought this was a really good movie, The Punisher. I had a good time seeing it in the theater. I wish Thomas Jane got to be in a sequel to The Punisher. It's a fucking shame it never happened. I mean, yeah, I could do without his neighbors, like Rebecca Romaine and the two other guys, but they were there. I mean, at least they didn't push some stupid love story and stuff into it. I appreciate that. I know it's based on, I forget the actual story of the comic. Yeah, Thomas Jane trained for nearly 7 months with the U.S. Navy SEALs and gained more than 20 pounds of muscle in doing so. The first comic book adaptation to earn an R rating since Blade in 1998. The declaration that Frank Castle writes near the end of the film, listing the basis of his vigilante philosophy, is the basis for the long-running comic, The Punisher War Journal. Yeah, I remember that. Let's see. Jonathan Hensley did not want superhero music for the ending scene where Frank is on the Sunshine Skyway Bridge making his vow as the Punisher, because the Punisher is, quote, not a superhero. I remember that. I liked the fact that it was silent when he was on the bridge. It was just speaking his, those who do evil unto others. I like, see, little touches like that where, again, just have silence. I like that. Yeah, there's another cut of the film which I didn't care for, which is that added back in the subplot of the guy's old partner and just unneeded subplot. I'm glad it was taken out of the theatrical version. I prefer the theatrical cut of the flick. Roy Scheider, yeah, he has. It's nice to see him in a small role. He felt the director felt he needed a $64 million budget, but was only given 15 million instead, and only 52 days to shoot the picture. He had to rewrite a lot of his original script to accommodate this reduction of budget and shooting schedule. So he wanted 60 some million, he only got 15 million. Yeah, Thomas Jane in 2012 did the short film The Punisher Dirty Laundry. Oh, I like that scene where he fucks up the guy with the paper cutter. Just slam right in the middle of the guy's head. I like that. Oh yeah, that was Samantha Mathis as I think Frank Castle's wife. She was in Broken Arrow, which John Travolta was in. Forgot about that. So I'm just going through the trivia, seeing if there's anything interesting. Lionsgate purchased Artisan Entertainment midway through production. I remember Artisan Entertainment. I mean, you can find a lot of trivia on there on yourselves. So, let's see. Moving on. Other films you have. Let's see if I can find this one. I don't want to take too. Well, this don't take long anyway. But if I can find the film quickly enough. Yeah. Another film that came out, which I do enjoy this movie. I know my friend Mike OCP hates this film, as does the cinema snob. He doesn't like this film either. But I like this film, and that is Napoleon Dynamite. I do really enjoy this film. I think it's a fun movie. I think it's an entertaining movie. Um, I've never had problems with this film. I thought John Heater did a good job. Maybe too good of a job because he's never had a role as good as this. I thought it was simple, effective, well directed. Thought the script worked well. Just really enjoyed this movie, Napoleon Dynamite. I never really found much to complain about. Vote for Pedro. I remember that. His then you have the brother character of Napoleon Dynamite. The little fights that they would have. Just standing still, just a quick slap and then run away. Like little stuff like that just made me laugh out loud. And I thought it was a nice little, sweet little love story, but this awkward guy and definitely a Pat DVD with a lot of features. I have fun with this movie. I like this movie a lot. Napoleon Dynamite. I like that film. See the next film, which probably over here, yeah. It's just over there. I can put this away. "50 First Dates." It's Adam Sandler movie that I like, I have fun with. It's not everyone's cup of tea, though. I thought it's one of Adam Sandler's pretty decent flicks. I thought he worked well with Drew Barrymore in it, just like they did in The Wedding Singer. The film after Blended was a piece of shit, but I thought this was decent. Drew Barrymore, her character, every time she goes to sleep, when she wakes up, she, how do you describe it? Short-term memory loss, so every night all memory of her day is erased. So anything that happens that day, when she goes to sleep, she wakes up, she completely forgot the day before. So her family tries to not freak her out, so let's have the same type of newspaper, the same type of this, same type of that. And Adam Sandler, at first, he's this guy who lives in Hawaii, takes care of these animals, and likes to go with this woman, spend a fling with a tourist, and then she leaves, and there's no hassle, no burden. But then he falls in love with this girl, and throughout the film, he tries to get her to fall in love with him day by day. And also, it's creepy when you think about it at first, just like, wow, this... But I thought it was handled better than what some people will say, because as the film, I think Adam Sandler's character grows to just the amount of work you would have to put into taking care of this woman who has this affliction of not remembering anything when she wakes up. And it's like, well, how can anyone have kids? How can anyone have a life with that? And just how Adam Sandler sort of actually mans up, grows up, and decides to do that. I thought it was kind of a nice thing for Adam Sandler's character. I thought they worked together very well. It didn't make me mad like a lot of Adam Sandler's recent films. It seemed like Adam Sandler was actually trying in the movies, not sleepwalking like he does nowadays. I like Sean Astin as this sort of like trying to be a bodybuilder. This has his little lisp. I don't mind 50 First Dates. I thought it was a pretty decent flick. Pretty decent Adam Sandler flick. I think the guy's done a lot worse. Which people are like, well, that's not saying much. But I like the film. Actually, put that away. Over there. And the next film we have is... Probably should have done this in a different way, but hey, it's the way it is. I could always do this in parts, like part 1, part 2, part 3, and so forth. Which is probably what I'll do. Saw. This was a 2004 film, of course, when the whole Saw thing began, way back in 2004. And I like the first Saw movie. The rest of them, 2 I could kind of deal with. It lost me after 3. 3, I'm like, come on, this guy, Jigsaw, he's such a fucking genius that he's psychic. He's psychic as all fuck. Come on now. Like, he knew to put this, and put some tape in the body, and then this guy was going to do this, and then make sure my servant does that, and do this other thing, and go through the fucking tunnel, and then do a fucking, twist and shout, and whatever the fuck else he had in his head. I'm like, come on, man, this is just pretentious. Give me a fuck, sake, break type of bullshit. But I mean, it's like you go in and watch just for some creative traps. Which honestly, if that's the case, then just go on YouTube and type in, all traps in Saw 5, all traps in Saw 7. Just watch that. You don't need to watch the entire movie. But I think the first film by James Wan is, honestly, a good film. Terry Ellis, Danny Glover, Monica Potter, Lee Winnell, Tobin Bell's the bad guy. It was a good idea. If you're wondering, this is the uncut edition. It has a 2-disc set. I got this because it has. Let's see, trying to see, is it disc 1 or disc 2? I believe this does have the commentary with Terry Ellis along with the directors, which is a fun commentary. Terry Ellis, this guy, is actually pretty funny on the commentary. I know on one of these DVDs, it's not on, that commentary isn't on it. I think it is this one. Yeah, it says 2 feature-length audio commentaries, and one has Terry Ellis with the director James Wan and Lee Winnell, and that's a pretty fun one. And then disc 2, you have on-set previews, Saw 2, the original short film that inspired it, behind the scenes, alternate storyboard sequence, like a bunch of other stuff. But I always thought the score was very well done. I thought the surprise worked in the first movie, where this guy on the ground, he was alive the whole time, he's the bad guy. I remember the first time I saw it, I went, oh shit, I didn't see that coming. I thought the acting was the best in this one. Because you got Terry Elwes, you got Danny Glover. Sad, I kind of wish that Danny Glover's character lived. And I guess Terry Elwes' character did live, and then became a fucking bad guy in the last one. That decided to work for Jigsaw, and I'm like, that's the kind of bullshit I hate about this series. You're telling me that a guy kidnaps you, fucks with you, makes you cut off your foot, threatens your family, and because the guy gives you some kisses for your boo-boos, you decide to work for the fucker? I hate the series, but I like the first one. It honestly, you didn't need a series. You could have just had the first film. Or maybe even Saw 2. Saw 1, Saw 2. You don't, I mean, I don't know. You know what I prefer? I prefer the Collector and the Collection. Watch that back to back. I prefer that over the Saw films, but I still like the first one. But I think the Collector and the Collection are better movies, to be perfectly honest. Let's see. You have Dodgeball, which I remember Dodgeball being okay with Ben Stiller, Vince Vaughn, Justin Long, I know was in it. I remember that being a pretty good sized hit, and I'm surprised they never did a sequel to that. I wouldn't be surprised if they're trying to do a sequel now, but it's too late. As of March 2005, the film has grossed over $124 million when it only cost $23 million to make. And many studios, including DreamWorks and MGM, passed on the film. Fox finally agreed when Ben Stiller reduced his salary to well under $1 million. The DVD contains a fake commentary where the director and two main actors do nothing but fight, as well as claim to hate each other, before storming out 40 minutes in. The commentary is then replaced with the commentary for There's Something About Mary. The real commentary is on the DVD as an Easter egg. Huh. I think I do have the DVD. I think I do. Yeah, I have it up there. I don't know if it's on that DVD then. I do have that DVD. I don't know if that commentary is on there though. Huh. But I remember it being okay. I mean, it's dodgeball. Kind of a fun idea for a comedy. You know, a dodgeball game. Because it's not something you see. You see a lot of football, baseball, basketball, but not a lot of dodgeball. And I remember playing dodgeball as a kid. Kind of a fun game. And I thought Ben Stiller worked fine. He was kind of playing his character from Heavyweights. That kind of villain. And Vince Vaughn, I thought, did alright as the lead. And, yeah, pretty decent film. Chuck Norris for the win at the end. Just a thumbs up. Let's see. Yeah, Friday Night Lights, the Peter Berg film he directed with Billy Bob Thornton. Football movie. I haven't seen the film. I know there was a TV series, but I haven't seen the movie. $1 Million Baby, Clint Eastwood, directed with Hilary Swank, Clint Eastwood, and Morgan Freeman. About Hilary Swank being a boxer, trying to become a professional. Haven't seen the film. I've heard about it. I know how it ends. But yeah, never seen the film. The Phantom of the Opera with Joel Schumacher directed and Gerard Butler stars. In this drama musical romance with a little bit of thriller. 2 hours and 23 minutes. I mean, the fact that it stars Gerard Butler and directed by Joel Schumacher kind of gives me pause. Gerard Butler starring in Phantom of the Opera with Joel Schumacher directing? But I think this is more of a drama musical than, you know, horror film or something, but which is too bad. But sound like Gerard Butler and Joel Schumacher directing? Never knew about that. The Girl Next Door, which I've heard of, that's the one where a porn star moves in next door to this kid, and you know, they fall in love. I think they fall in love, and then he finds out that she was a porn star, which I'm like, I don't buy a porn star fall in love with a kid next door. That's like something you would hear or read in fucking Hustler or Playboy or something. But I didn't see the film, so. Elijah Cuthbert stars in it with Emil Hirsch. Emil Hirsch. I think that's the guy who starred in Speed Racer. Oh, this film came out in 2004. Let's see, where the hell did I put it? Did I put it over there? It might be over here. Yeah, I think it's over here. Hellboy. 2004 film. And I enjoyed this and the sequel by Guillermo del Toro. I think Ron Perlman does a good job. I also like the Abe Sapien guy. Like that character. But yeah, Hellboy's a fun character. I like that villain with the mask with the swords and shit. Didn't grow with the Hellboy character, but definitely an entertaining film. I probably would like to have seen a bit more action. Maybe a bit more gunplay or a bit more fisticuffs. Jeffrey Tambor did fine. In a weird way, this kind of, for some reason, reminds me of the Avengers before the Avengers with the way the characters interact with each other. I don't know why. I know this sounds stupid. Oh yeah, I forgot John Hurt was in this. Selma Blair. Sort of, will they be in a relationship? Will they not be in a relationship? But yeah, Ron Perlman I thought owned as Hellboy, and I know there's talks Guillermo del Toro wanted to do a third film, but these films were never that big box office hit type of flicks, so thus you're never going to get a third one. Which is a shame, because I thought these were pretty decent films, pretty fun, entertaining movies. And actually, you know what? I'm going to end this, I'll just say it's part one. That way, I mean, the video's already long enough. That way, it's not fucking overly long. And I want to go in depth as I can on these. I don't want to just, here's a movie. That's it. So let's consider this part one. If people liked it and want a part two, please feel free to let me know. If not, no worries. Just put down below if you want a part two, and I'll gladly do it. Go through more of the year 2004. Thanks for watching, take care, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.